you so much for everybody coming here. We're ready to get started. I first just want to go around the room and introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the some of the reason why we're here. So, sir.
Oh, me first. I'm Shannon Williams. I live at 10,400 Lloyd Drive at Lord and Countess neighborhood.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shalonda Webb. I'm the county councilwoman for this district, 4th district.
Shantae Young, legislative assistant for the councilwoman.
Sergeant Brian Schmidt, St. Louis County's Community Outreach.
Danielle Durham, Lieutenant Commander of the Community Outreach Unit.
Wesley Bell, I'm a neighborhood policing officer at the 1st Precinct.
I'm Sean Drew with Community Engagement Unit, St. Louis County Police.
TJ Bakula, Community Outreach Unit.
Officer Brandon McCurry, Community Outreach Unit.
Jeff Young, the Problem Properties Unit Specialist.
Joellen Pruitt Adams, Acting Superintendent for Bridgewater School District.
Tanya Patton, Assistant Superintendent for Burgundy Garden School District.
Nick Curlett, resident 10147 Castle Drive.
Lieutenant Tony Cavaletti, Watch Commander of the North County Precinct.
Jim Delworth, I'm a prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
And I'm Tim Cunningham, to introduce myself, the captain of the North County Precinct. Thank you so much for letting us use your facility, okay? And thank you for the residents that have showed up here this morning. I apologize for the time and the quick notice. You know, the plan after Snowmageddon hits us is to have a meeting in the evening, and we can discuss further some of the plans that we have moving forward for Castle Point and some of the other things we have going on. I'm gonna let Mr. Delworth talk. He has something else he needs to go to, and then we can get into some other things. So, sir.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Jim Delworth. I'm with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm the head of what's called the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. And I want to give the Captain Cunningham, the officers community outreach, a real thank you. My understanding, I don't live in Castle Point. If I get anything wrong, I apologize. But my understanding is that it's an area that has seen crime, drug trafficking, from my experience, is linked often with violence, with guns, and other matters like that. So there are some problems. There were calls into Captain Cunningham's office. You know, can you do something to help? And we have. We've done a investigation that's lasted over 6 months, and it culminated today. There was an indictment that was returned charging a lot of people, and this morning, starting at 6 a.m., there were a number of arrests made, individuals in Castle Point who are alleged to be involved in drug trafficking or other acts connected with guns or violence, as well as individuals who may live outside of Castle Point but come into Castle Point to engage in criminal activity. So this was kind of, we couldn't announce what the purpose was. We appreciate everybody being able to kind of come together at the last minute. I had been a prosecutor for many years, and if I've learned a little wisdom from that, is that we can't prosecute our way into a better society. There has to be some type of coordination with law enforcement, coordination with community outreach groups, with state and local government, and with everybody all together. We're trying to achieve that in law enforcement in terms of this operation was jointly federal investigation and a state investigation. Hopefully what we've accomplished is we've taken out some of the criminal element out of Castle Point, hopefully most of the criminal element out of Castle Point. If we've succeeded in doing that, it's created a void in the sense of that criminal element, the individuals engaged in drug trafficking, drug houses, hopefully are no more. So what happens now? 6 months from now, one or two things can happen. Either we can hopefully get the neighborhood back on track with all the great people in the neighborhood, or a number of the younger group kind of comes up to take their place, and we're back to the same type of problem. I've seen that too much as a prosecutor. I wanna change that dynamics, and in order to change it, we need everybody coordinating together. That's the purpose of this meeting. It's kind of a kickoff, and you are first of a kind. If it works up at Castle Point, then hopefully we could use that template, that plan, and use it in other places in St. Louis. Because the last thing I know, speaking from kind of a law enforcement perspective, is we wanna see the work that we've done flourish into something. We don't wanna see it come back and, have to deal with it all over again. That's very distressing for us. In order to do it, and I appreciate those from the community who come out, is, I don't have the knowledge and I don't know exactly what exists out there. So I need to bring community and resource together. What can we do to strengthen the community? And I'm sure all of you have great ideas. I'll throw out some of mine that may be crazy, maybe need to be tweaked a little bit, but some of the things that need to be done. We'd like to deal with quality of life issues. There was a federal grant in Castle Point, and I know Shantae, I forget her last name.
Jameson Bird.
Who was up here, and we had spoken with her, and I wish we'd gotten to know her a couple years earlier, because she's kind of doing her own thing and we didn't have a chance to kind of coordinate everything. But my understanding is she had some funding for the improvement of lighting and some things like that, quality of life issues. What I've been trying to do is work with individuals to see what can we do about the housing. I'd love to see if we could get the abandoned houses, and passing by, I saw one that was burned out. It's an eyesore, it's a problem, it's an area that people could collect it, that if we could get that raised and torn down. I'd love to get some community resources, because a lot of good people here, and some of the houses could use some refurbishment. I think a lot of it has to do with attitude. I mean, there's a lot of good positive things. You've got a school in the neighborhood, you've got a beautiful park up here, you've got a lot of trees, but we need to build upon those positives. Removal of trash. I know that there was a movement, I forget if it was Spire, worked with fire department in terms of trash removal to try to prove truth. There's a lot of things that can be done in terms of quality of life. If there's abandoned cars, we can identify it and tow it out. Second is kind of improvement in people's lives. What I'd like to do is see if we can get Urban League or some other community resources up here to see, can we have a fair? Can we have a meeting where we can have a jobs fair, that those who need employment, we can at least try to get them, or if they need some additional education. If they need some advice on health matters, we could have a nurse or somebody like that. If they need advice on legal matters, to kind of help their individual situation regarding employment, regarding dealing with all the problems in life. And the third aspect that I call it, I'm just making these up, is kind of more of a psychological, dealing with, there's individuals in every community. I don't care if it's Castle Point or if it's Ladue. There's people who need drug treatment, people who need help with psychological services. What can we do? So this is kind of the kickoff, and you guys, I'm hoping to energize enough that we can kind of brainstorm and see what resources can we bring to bear, but not just individual. St. Louis is so fragmented. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, and everybody's got a different group, and everybody's gonna save the community by their own whatever their plan that they've got. And I've seen those come and fail, and what stands out in my many years, it's only through coordination. Law enforcement made this effort possible, but there has to be additional coordination among social services groups. Can we map out the area to see who are the people in need, and what can be done to help those out? What can be done as a neighborhood in whole? I'd like to see, and I think that this coordination has to go. You have a tremendous resource in Captain Cunningham and members of it, as well as the community outreach with St. Louis County. You have tremendous resources here, and we need to kind of blend and coordinate, because those who live in the area are the eyes and ears of the neighborhood. Are there still criminal problems that need to be dealt with? We can investigate and we can deal with that, but we need to kind of come together in terms of services to come in? How can we coordinate? Can we map out the various needs? What I'd love to see is reaching a community where there is such coordination that we can identify those people that stress in their lives, psychological problems, drug problems, whatever, can be a problem in the neighborhood. If we can work with the police could work with community outreach to say, you know, these are the individuals to keep in touch. We could maybe proactively contact those individuals, those families, and maybe provide help up front, because too often, I see it on the backside. Something has happened, they've blown up, there's a crime being committed, I prosecute and I send them to, I wind up sending them to prison. I would much rather have less work on my part and see intervention on the front side so that doesn't happen. And I'm glad that members of the school district came, because the actions we take today, I realize have effects throughout these families, because I may have arrested somebody who may be the person who supplies support for the family, and maybe through illegal means of drug trafficking, but they're the ones putting food on the table. They may have children or nephews or nieces or people who depend upon them, and that's going to be felt in the school itself. So I know that there's going to be. So that's what I say, that it really needs a coordinated effort, because everything that we do reverberates out through so many different ways, and including the families, the students who are going to be in school, how they impact the other students at the school. So, and I wish I could say I have the answers here, but I'm kind of leaning, I know how to investigate and prosecute a case. I can set up investigating this, that's not a problem. Working with tremendous law enforcement and developing the evidence, that is not a problem. What I need help in, and what I'm kind of asking you, is how can we come together? What are the next steps to take? Who do we need to come in to assess the difficulties in the neighborhood, to improve the neighborhood, to move forward? 6 months from now, I'd love to come back here, and if the crime in the area has dropped dramatically, it's a much better community. Rather than 6 months from now saying, okay, who is the next group of problem people that we have to deal with and we have to investigate. So that's kind of my spiel. So I appreciate everybody attending, and what I wanted this to be is kind of more of a community spirit. For those who have ideas, please put forward the ideas, and I'm hoping that, as Captain Cunningham says, this leads to to evening meetings that are more easily attendable, that more people can attend, and that we can really get some concrete ideas. The reason we picked this morning is because the takedown on the indictment occurred 3.5 hours ago, beginning at 6 a.m. So people have been arrested, so we wanted to come, and if you were up that early and saw any activity, that's what was happening this morning. And especially for the school, because there are going to be kids who are going to be immediately impacted by this, and we didn't want you to be in the dark in terms of what is happening. So I'll kind of turn it over, I don't know, to Cunningham or someone else. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Delworth. Is your name, sir? Mr. Jim Delworth is your name? Hi, thank you. So I appreciate you bringing the community together after such a massive operation this morning, and she can't see me, so she wants me to come up closer.
Thank you.
So as shared, my name is Shalonda Webb, and I'm the councilwoman of the district, and I want to thank the law enforcement agencies that are here. I mean, we've been working together since I got in this role, which has been, what, a year ago now? And so, the partnership between Captain Cunningham's office and his officers, from PAL to Officer Bell to Officer Williams, is that we want to work to move Castle Point forward. And so some of the things that you mentioned, sir, we've been actively working, and I didn't invent this wheel. From Shantae Jameson, the other officers that's on PAL, we've already been engaged in the community, and I think what we need to do is just tightly organize that a little bit more, but specifically talking about what do we do next to fill that gap so we don't have that criminal element returning. And so you mentioned something about actually having a career fair. So I have been working with the laborers and different utility companies to put together a community career fair that's very specific to this community, and that I get buy-in, because to me, to change a community, you have to change the standard of living. How do you change someone's standard of living? Is that in their employment? And so they don't have to revert back to criminal activity. They can see evidence that we have now an opportunity to get jobs that's $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, which is quite different than what we was doing in the criminal activity. It could be safer. It might not be as much money, but it could be safer, and it could be dependable and consistent. And so I want to continue to work on that effort with Captain Cunningham. Another opportunity that we've been pursuing and we started communications with is one blessing outside of the people. Another blessing that Casa Point has is the Empowerment House. And so I know that PAL will be leveraging off of that center. We did some painting and some upgrades to that with the ESOP offices this past year. And so they're gonna be leveraging with PAL activities for the youth this year. But also I had an opportunity to connect ESOP with Youth in Need to be able to use the facilities at the Empowerment House to do mental health therapy sessions, to do activities for the kids, to provide services for those who may be homeless and need a place to actually come and get resources, and also to put I'm gonna put air quotes up here, a satellite office for human resources. So whether that's ERAP, whether that is COVID testing, we did a COVID testing event there as well. But those type of services right here in Casa Point, so they don't have to worry about transportation to get into some other location in North County or in St. Louis County. They will have it right here in their community. So I'm here and sharing all of this feedback with you is because I'm here to serve and to work. And so one thing a lot of officers know, when it's time to get down to work, I'm all about getting stuff done, and it's not about lip service. And so we are here, sir. As you said, who do we contact? Who do we work with to get these services? I am here to serve in that capacity and to be that liaison and connector. At the same time, I want to be action oriented. I want things to change, and that people have to believe in us, not just a one and done, but they have to consistently see us in their community to trust us. And that's what I want to do for this community. Lastly, I just forgot, it popped in my head. You mentioned the Derelict Buildings in here. So I have been through here with a problem properties tour with Mr. Marcellus and others looking at the properties. I then brought another council member with me, that's my counterpart out of South County, to say, look, we have these problem properties just like you, these vacant buildings. Let's work together to come up with a solution. I also brought Delworth, who is the county's consultant for compliance and execution of ARPA funds. So why did I bring them through? Because they can put programs together, but until they understand and see a community, they don't know how great that need is. So I rode through here with another tool, Shantae driving a van. Were you driving a van that time? But in either case, to look at all the properties that need to be actually torn down. And we have identified and got confirmation with the new guidance on the federal that tearing down, demolishing those type homes is a part in this, within compliance of ARPA funding and spending. And so I share all of this with you because I feel like I'm water hosing everybody with so much information. But to let you know, sir, that we are working with that, but we are always willing, always open to partnering with others that can help with our cause. And so I appreciate you being here today, and if there are any questions I can answer specifically for anyone, please don't mind answering. Yes, ma'am.
So you said that you are thinking about tearing down houses. What are you doing in place when you tear something down? What are you doing to rebuild?
So that is an opportunity that we are trying to do. I also have established the North County Economic Development Coalition, and that's for different developers that want to come to North County and that possibly already have projects in North County, to let them see here are opportunities. But the difference between a large tract of land and an individual house, you might have an empty house here, but the house, there's a lot right here. So it's not something that you can do a massive development on, but we are looking at opportunities to possibly allow the neighbors to purchase that property or create healthy green space in between. So there could be different options there, but we don't even know exactly what houses we would tear down. We're just putting a budget together to say, how much would this cost if we had to tear down 300 homes between North County and South County. What would that price tag be, and then what would be their plan for execution? But as to exactly what we will put in those places, we don't have an exact plan, but to create healthy green space. And healthy green space mean that you don't have a place that could either hoard a criminal activity or unwanted, unsolicited and unwanted activity. And we can just have when I say healthy green space, it's an empty lot, so no bad things are happening there. So we can start there, but there could be opportunities for development in the future, depending on who would like to develop in the area. Now, I will tell you this, there are some developers that want to buy a large tract of land in this area. We have people who own their homes here, who have been in this community 30, 40 plus years. We are not trying to uproot them and have them be displaced or have them to find a new home. They like their community, they love their community. We just want to enrich and revive their community. So I am not a favor, and you can come, we can talk about, I am not in favor of supporting someone coming in and buying a large tract of land and trying to get people who are owners of their property out of their property. So does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yeah, that answers that question.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
guess the other part that I would be interested in is if who's making these decisions for this community? And I just wonder, because for like me, I didn't even know that this meeting was going to exist, and I'm a resident.
Okay, so I work within the community, and I share this with the officers who come with programs. So I reach out to your association with Ms. Jackson. I reach out to members of your community like Ms. Michelle. I try to do advertisement on the electronic board that's in front of the Empowerment House, and I try to put out flyers. What my greatest way to interact with people is for them to join our database and share your information so you can get that emails and our newsletters up front. When I have a community meeting, I send out emails, I contact your association members to let them know that I would like to have this community members so they can partner with me. I always try to put out a flyer, so even if you don't have electronic emails, if you don't have emails, that does not prohibit you from being engaged because you've got an actual piece of paper on your door. So those are the ways that I'm trying to communicate. One thing that I always say is that I am not coming into your communities or anyone's communities and telling them what to do. I'm here to serve that community, so I want to hear from the community to tell me what is best needed and what's the best ways to serve you all. And so if you have not had an opportunity to be engaged, ma'am, I would definitely take down your information and you will now get direct emails from our office, from your county council's office. Does that help? Awesome. Any other questions for anyone?
I have tons.
I
I have
listen.
tons.
It might not all be on me, come
So,
stand with me.
no, it's with you.
Okay.
So,
I'll support you.
I don't wanna start this off wrong, cause I'm just meeting you.
It's okay, I got
But-
tough skin.
But a lot of what you're saying, it sounds like a broken wheel to me.
Mhm.
Because first of all, I've sat on many of these meetings and a lot of this same jarble comes out. And that's exactly what I was expecting you to say about these big companies wanna come in and buy up our community. I grew up in the Central West End, and another area that this recently just happened to is what we call quote unquote Shaw's Garden.
Mhm.
So, when I moved back into this community over 30-some years ago, this was a very somewhat prominent area, and it was vibing, but now it has took a shift. So the same thing with the very house that I was born and birthed in is worth almost $500,000. But when my mom and dad sold that house, they barely got $18,000 for that house. So what I'm saying is, a lot of people ask me, why do I live in Casa Point? Yeah, I could be gone. I could be gone, pack up, run away. I choose to be here because of what you just said. I have been trying to get a house across the street, and this young man has seen me in here before.
That's right.
I have been trying to get a house across the street from me for the last 8 years. I've talked with Marcellus. I talk with all these guys. Mr. Page runs for me like I got AIDS. I've been asking for him to come out and walk through this community step by step. Our last councilwoman, Ms. Price, so happy she's out of the office is ridiculous because I rode her tail like crazy because I'm tired of this. So, the officers say it starts with you. I'm going to respect you and I'm going to try to work with you, but I'm not going to allow you to just throw smoke at me and then a month from now, a year from now, we still saying the same things. The biggest problem that I see as a resident nobody wants to work with nobody. Everybody wants to blame somebody. We got enough laws, rules on the books that we can get a whole lot of stuff turned around if we just enforce them. Trash. I bought a pickup truck, a trailer. I'm out here picking up stuff, paying guys to move stuff. I'm cutting grass across the street from my house faithfully, keeping things up out of my own pocket, because I can't deal with problem properties coming through once every other month, or if the grass get high enough, you got rodents and everything else going through there. So I go out of my pocket faithfully, and I can show you big time receipts where I loaded up. Well, now he allows me to go over here off of Hall's Ferry and dump it over there where they'll take it. But the point I'm saying is, with the trash, which is one of our biggest issues, if a lot of these little small things start getting enforced, it'll start helping with some of these bigger things. But we don't want to deal with that. So somebody's not paying trash, or they throwing trash on his property, or you go through and you picking up trash on community day, you got Perone bottles and this, that, and the other. This is everyday household stuff. The trash bill is only $30-something every other month. But people buy weed, people do this, but when you say, oh, we start enforcing them, oh, we're being prejudiced, or we're being this, it's got to stop somewhere. Then you got people who are sitting in these offices, the health department, people like Jamil Franklin, was a inspector, but now he's sitting in this big prestigious office out here now, he don't come out. But I take pictures of these county vehicles out at the mall, sitting at the Galleria, having lunch, but nobody can come out here and enforce anything. Our trash day is on today, Tuesday. And I'm like, why aren't they out here the next day to see all these cans that are sitting out here, or all these trash that's still sitting up behind the houses? So you call out there to Clayton, they want to get in touch with you, or this, that, and the other. It's just a big runaround, Ms. Webb. And again, I know I'm just meeting you. I don't want to throw too much in your play. I don't want to ruin this meeting. But until everybody start talking to each other, the left hand meeting the right hand, we're going to still keep being in this circle. To the chief, greatly happy for you to be here, okay? Because, yeah, I see the extra enforcement that you have out through here, but it's through 9 to 5. This place is like roaches. When do the roaches come out? At night, when it's dark. But these guys are heading home. It has not been too many of these active forces between the hours of, 2 and 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We only got 3 officers. The north end, the south end, it's like before they tore down Colony North, our officers used to have to go from 70 and Lucas and Hunt all the way back up here to Spanish Lake. And last time we had meetings, I studied our whole entire district. First precinct take more calls than all of these other 2 precincts. From the time these officers clock in to the time they clock out, they call at the call at the call at the call. And this is the only precinct that have the shortest officers. But you got the Wildwood officers and all of them always stacked. I'm like, why don't 2 or 3 officers come up here in these areas? We need officers to stay in these, I knew the count of the streets, I don't know them anymore, in this little 5-mile radius and can't go nowhere else. I just think if we start doing more things like that, there are certain areas that we all ride through, we pop our radios down, we pop our seatbelt on, because they have put that precedent out there that we're not going to tolerate certain things in our area. And I just think we need to do that in this area. If we just start enforcing the little things that we can enforce. And that's all I really have to say, because I think that's what's going to be the start to some of this. Not just coming in here. The same thing happened when we got the grant. Everybody was trying to take pictures and this and the other. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. When the smoke dies out, they die out. And it's the same thing after the same thing. And we all keep saying the same thing after the same thing. The same thing. And it really just, to me, starts with the small little things. Enforcing problem properties. But that guy has 2 people in his department. But it's just so funny you said that, and I didn't want to really hang my hat on this. But in order for anything to happen north, the people south got to get some too. And you said that in your statement. Oh, how are we going to work with the south to get the same thing up north? They don't have nearly the same problems that we have. They don't have nearly what we got. But yet, no, everything anchors off what they can get before it comes up here.
So I'm sorry, your name again,
My
sir?
name is Shannon Williams.
Mr. Williams, do you mind if I just say something first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, I'm not patronizing you, but I'm here in partnership with you, so please shake my hand, because
Oh.
you've never met me before.
Oh, I haven't met
And
you.
so
I've
I
been
don't
trying
know,
to get a hold of you.
everybody who has met me and worked with me know that I'm about action and I'm not about words. And I'm standing in this position, not because I need a title, not because I want to show for show, because if not, I could have stayed at my Boeing job today. But I know this is important to me. And I put that, and I talk to every officer that calls my office, every constituent that calls my office, is that, okay, let's work this out. You are right. I've only been here 1 year, but I hear those stories over and over again, where they promised this before, and they promised this before. Let's start with problem properties, and I'm gonna break it down so everybody have to be patient with me, okay? So with problem properties, you say, why did I make a partnership with South County? Because it takes 4. It takes a vote of 4 for me to get anything passed, anything appropriated, any funds appropriated in this community. It's not just because Shalonda say so, it's because I gotta get a vote of 4 on that council. So if I have a partnership and I am working in collaboration with someone else that may not look like me, that may be on a different side of the aisle with me, that's gonna be easier for me to get to my 4 so I can get what I need for my community. When I talk about the problem properties unit, currently, Mr. Marcello, you are so right, sir. They have like 3 people on their staff. They serve all unincorporated, north and south. And so if you only got 3 people on your staff and you serving all the north and all the south, there's only so much you can do with that resource. So what's the first thing we need to do? We need to appropriate funds in that service, right? I need 4.
It's not so much of funds. You got too many people in office that sit.
So I'm
you got
being real
Jamil
with
Franklin, you got Marcel, you got all these people who are making all these top salaries, telling 3 people man crew. You got a 3-man crew getting information from like 20 different people.
Understand.
You know, when it all boils down, none of these people come out of their plushy offices. They dictate everything to Mr. Rathwalker. That man is so wore out, it's ridiculous. And I started seeing that, so I started trying to channel and help the guy. Because it's not right. It's not right that they gotta cover north. They got enough work just north, but they still gotta go down south and do stuff. It's just, it could be, to me, some of those salaries need to be evacuated. Because those guys to me are not doing anything.
So I may not have the power to get rid of a person, but I
But
can
I'm
add a
saying that
person.
when you talk about trying to find revenues, start with some of these people in office. Some of these people in the health department alone. What are they doing? What tickets have they issued? It's so much trash. It's all a waste. It's these raccoons. It's probably you can go up these streets and you probably see at least 5 or 6 of them dead. You know, but I'm saying these guys are not coming out here. So that's to me a start right there.
So I agree with you, sir. We have to start, and I want to add to their team. But I won't want to take away what I will do. Is I already gave you my card. We need to have a conversation together, and then I'm going to ping back to you and say, okay, sir, I need some help this way. The other thing that you mentioned is about the trash, and I want to be realistic. So we put together a team as we walk through here and try to determine to serve both communities better. Was that let's talk about trash pickup. So right now, trash pickup is so much money a week. But if you getting certain assistance, you get that voucher. That doesn't mean that trash service got paid for. So what is a realistic solution to that? Not just a Band-Aid, not just, okay, let's.
Well, the realistic solution is to get it in our taxes to where it's automatically get taken care of. And like I tried to tell the trash company, you know, even though you may not pay your bill, you may be past due. If you had the nerve to at least put it up to the street, you know our area, pick it up. But that's what we need to first of all try to do is get it somewhere in the taxes to where these people can just set the trash out and it's going to get taken care of.
So I wouldn't agree with I wouldn't focus in on going towards the taxes, but I am trying to get a solution for those who get assistance with their housing, that money is automatically paid from that system, whether that's the housing authority or whoever it may be, that voucher isn't given to that household or that person that's actually renting there, that is automatically taken care of through the housing authority. So they put a system in place that they pay for the trash pickup for all of those houses. They don't need to give the individual one, because people move the attrition of people moving is quite frequent around here with the rental properties.
Yes.
And so if we can get it at the housing authority and say, hey, can you just you automatically take care of this service for this home. So no matter who moves in, Tom, Dick, or Harry, trash gonna get picked up on Tuesday regardless, because the trash company already been paid for that. So that's what I'm talking about, a realistic solution about things of that sort. And that's the little things that's gonna blossom to the bigger things, right? Because if you got people taking care of their daily or weekly trash, then they not throwing it in an empty lot when nobody's looking at night, right?
Yeah,
so then you don't have that
exactly
build up of those. You know, we come through here once a month, once every 2 months and do these trash pickups. Believe me, I've been to multiple ones. Multiple organizations doing. We putting a Band-Aid on it. We need a solution. How do we get that realistic solution? So that's residential solution. Let's look at commercial. When we had those commercial vehicles riding, so we gave more funding to give license plate readers. So if somebody's coming in here and they're dumping trash, we can actually see that who's doing it and read their license plates and hold them accountable. Those are the type of solutions I want to do in our community to make real systemic change. And you're right, it starts small, but it can grow big. We have to collaborate and work with each other. And just because you have these frustrations, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna treat you like that. You can't come talk to me. You come talk to me, so that's how I learn. And that's how we come together with solutions. So I do apologize if I went too deep with this conversation, but I wanna let your name once again, sir.
Shannon Williams.
Mr. Williams, now I'm gonna call you Sean. I wanted to let Mr. Williams know that these are realistic steps that we're taking. It's not all, it's not everything, but we have to be, once again, consistent. It can't be a hit or run and done in this community because this is a trust issue. The core of what's going on right here is a trust issue because you can heard it over and over and over again and no action. And so I gotta earn Mr. Williams' trust again. How do I earn someone's trust who doesn't believe in me?
I didn't say I believe in you.
No, but I'm talking about the
that
issues.
some of these other folks need to get out here. You know, like I said, you call Mr. Page's office, you know, I get this assistant. Now it's like with the caller ID, they know I'm calling. It's like they won't even answer.
Yes, sir.
You know, and it's just an ongoing, you know, broken thing.
So I gotta give you evidence
and
that
then when
what
he
you
was
complain
here
about get fixed.
taking some pictures, you know, then I was stopped by the security instantly because I wanted to confront him and ask him some questions. So it's like you get tired of the photoshops. You get tired of all of this, what we doing right now. You know, this is a good community, and I see some things happening. You know, they building some stuff. You know, a zoo up on the north end. It's some stuff that's getting ready to take place that people are not seeing. And those who stuck it out in the Central West End, those who stuck it out on Thurman and Shaw, are fat cats right now. You know, those areas are just. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you couldn't walk down 39th and Shaw, Blaine, none of those streets. They were just like this. I mean, drug infested, prostitutes infected, but now you got big, beautiful, gorgeous houses sitting down there.
One other thing, I'm gonna let Mr. Williams go. One of the things I think you should know, I don't know if you participated with the speeding study that we done this year. It's at the end of the year. We gave a presentation in December. We sent it out to the Neighborhood Community Association to let you know that we were gonna be doing a project this year to help deter some of the speedings, and they put some forth. Everything can't be handled with a speed bump. So we put some alternatives out there so the community can look at it. There will be a survey coming out, a follow-up from the Department of Transportation and say, okay, let's do some demos of this activity. But these are the things that we're doing realistic in our community here to say that we're about changing this. We're about a thriving community, and we're gonna hold those accountable who serve us in all aspects. As a community leader, or I call myself a community public servant, a servant leader, as our law enforcement and our safety leaders, and also as our members next door to us, our neighbors next door to us. We all have some skin in this game. It's not one or the other. Everybody has to be accountable in this. And it's not about a title, it's about work.
Start when everybody get on the same page and not feel like, well, this is not my problem, this is not my job. Everybody is overstressed over work. Our police are overstressed over work. You know, they need some help.
Yes.
And when I look at the Mike Brown situation, how all these officers were able to come together here for 12-hour shifts, I'm like, okay, why we can't get that now? Again, I'm not throwing no pot shots at you, Mr. Chief. I'm not. I just feel like, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the rant, but I'm not throwing pot shots at you guys. It's just, you know, things don't happen between 9 and 5. Yes, they do, but not like they should. And I just feel like these other officers who are sitting down by Anheuser-Busch writing tickets or doing whatever they're doing, or out on the highway, should be up in these areas. And that's all I'm trying to say. You know, we got K now, we got the highway, but they don't come in these areas. They out on the highway. I know they need to be there too, but if those officers can come and patrol, because again, these people know what's going on. They got the high-tech phones with the scanners on them and all that stuff, but nobody's here. You know, nobody's up here. I'm done, I'm
Okay.
set up.
And I'm gonna have a seat over here if anyone else has a question.
I'd love to talk to you at some point as well, you and I, and we can just talk about some stuff. But just so you know, so right now we are on 12-hour shifts. We're doing a pilot program that we started in the end of December to do with staffing issues that the department and then this precinct has felt over the past year. So we do, it is a 24-hour operation. And if you're not seeing the police as much as night, or if you're not seeing the police coming through the neighborhood at night, then I need to know about that, not just during the day. There's a lot of other resources that are in your neighborhood that you might not see. I'm talking technology, cameras. Councilman Webb mentioned about the license plate readers. There's cameras that we're utilizing to address the dumping of trash. We've had success with that as well. All right. There's other resources that I know that I've only been up there for 2 years now. Okay. Unfortunately, the pandemic has handcuffed a lot of things that I wanted to do. We've still been able to do more things than I kind of was expecting to, even through the pandemic. The Juneteenth last year, we'll do that again this year. Community Outreach Unit, PAL, I think, because I'll be honest with you, that wasn't up here, okay, when I got up here. And I'm on the PAL, I'm a board member, and that was one of my main concerns was, why not? Why not in Castle Point? There's so many kids that are going to school up here that could benefit from all the resources that the department has. So that footprint is now in Castle Point. And, I'm standing out here watching kids walk up to school, and what Mr. Delworth talked about this morning with the roundup. Everything he said's right on, because that impacts that house. What's tonight gonna look like? If some of the kids that are going to school here today are in any of these houses, and that's unfortunate. I've met with him. I'm not gonna get into too many details about this investigation in this case, but what I will say is it started from the community, okay? Started from the subdivision, the neighborhood. And then we took it from there. And then we brought in the resources to make that criminal element go away, all right? And it's going away. But when I sat down initially with Mr. Delworth and was listening to what he said, the U.S. Attorney's Office, he's spot on. Their job is to do these federal investigations and put people in prison, all right? And what was different, because I've worked with him for several years now, when some of my other assignments on this police department, it was, what can we do to improve the community and not just arrest people and put them away? First time I've ever heard that, and that was about a year and a half ago. So, trust me, we are trying to do everything we can. The lighting issue, I know it's been a problem for a long time. The trash is a huge problem, the speeding is a huge problem. But if we can remove some individuals that are selling narcotics, walking down the street with guns, and I'm sure you've seen that, you've seen this. Now, I'm getting pictures of it, okay? I've seen it on video. That has to go away. Hopefully with what has happened today, some of that will go away. I know there's other criminal issues or elements in Castle Point that we also have to address. But we gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big one, okay, with this investigation, this case. But we have to start somewhere, and this was the start. I can't talk a whole lot about Councilwoman Webb, but I can tell you one thing about her. When she speaks about actions, not words, I've seen her out here doing cleanups, doing trash pickups. That's different. So that's a good thing. But as far as the police and you not seeing officers out here, marked vehicles coming through, I'll take care of that today. You'll see it tonight. be, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem already, but we don't go home at 5 o'clock. We're fully staffed.
No, I'm saying like those special, you know, we had the black SUVs going through for a while.
Yep.
And those guys, they're gone. It's like, and I stopped with him, I'm like, well, so what's your hours? And he told me, I'm like, well, why you just can't be here? And I was telling him. But then when that situation happened up off of Chambers, I saw they set up on that house like almost 24 hours. That apartment situation about a couple years ago.
Mhm.
So I just watch little things like that. I'm like, okay, well, if they can do it this time, why they can't do it this particular time? You know, and all I'm saying is like, you know, with the K9 units, you know, a lot of these guys, you pull up on them, the drugs are not on them because they got them sitting on a vacant house, you know, up under a drain or something. And I'm like, you know, when I saw Arcane, I was like, why you just can't walk down the street with your dog? Why you just can't do some of these type of things to just, you know, do whatever?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. You know, I just think that this is the busiest area, but less officers, and you got these other areas that have only half the call volume, but they can't come over here. And these officers, like I said, one time when Colin and North was up there, I don't know if y'all still got that area, but I know, I think it runs, I think that's District 3, where 7 and Lucas Center will switch over.
Second precinct.
Second precinct, it's like, you know, that's too much of a big area, you know, for our officers to have to go. And they would come from there, go all the way back up to Glasgow Village,
Yep.
you know. And then the other problems I used to have with all these neighboring municipalities, you know, we have to go help them, but they right around the corner on certain things, but won't come in the area or won't do anything, but we have to help them. It makes no sense.
That you're addressing the neighboring municipalities, one of the issues that I had, there's a company sits right down here where they built a big cell tower called Wirecraft. I'll call them out. And one of the issues that I had was from the dialysis building on 367 behind the church, all the way around, turned into one of the biggest dumping zones you ever want to see.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I started doing was taking pictures. I drove my car through there taking pictures. I actually sent the pictures to Mayor Tommy Pearson. I talked to the mayor of Moline Acres. I even sent them to Miss Webb. She actually came to my house. I give her credit. She came to my house and interviewed me. And we talked, and I think they drove around there and they got to see for themselves. That area is clean. They cleaned that whole area up. My other issue was they had a camera up there. That camera is not operating, because if it was, the trash wouldn't be building back up there again. I was on that committee last Juneteenth to actually help clean that area up. The house next door to me weeds was growing taller than me and you, standing on top of each other's shoulders. I literally went over there and cut those things down, and then I have my yard guy cut their front yard, because the 1.5 month person coming over there cutting that grass, and his blades are set up this high, he's just skimming the top.
Yep.
And so the animals are building homes. There's a possum trail. The wild feral cats live over there because the animal control won't come dealing with cats. They say, we'll give you the trap and you can trap them and we'll pick them up. That's the stupidest answer I ever heard in my life. You know, and there was a big wasp nest there. I had to beg them to come out there and deal with that. But the issue is, one of the things they have in St. Louis City, when it comes to maintenance of these vacant houses, if you live next door to one and you maintain that yard for a nominal price of like $100 or something like that, you can buy that property. And therefore you can own it. We don't have that.
So we're working on that, sir. I'm sorry, I'm way back here in the back. So we're working in that problem property task team that we put together. We're working to put in, we're trying to mimic it off of a program in Texas, where just like you said, if you do the maintenance on the property for so long, then that will be giving credit towards the cost of that house.
Right.
Now, I won't even sit here and say it'll be $100, because that would not be the furthest from the truth.
Well, you have to
But it will
maintain
be
it for 2
drastically
years.
reduced
But that house
from
should
the
be
cost
mine
of
big
those
time.
taxes that's owed on that home. So we're working on that. That's a part of the out briefing of the problem property task team that we've been working on, but we've been working on it since October. All aspects. That's why we talked about giving the housing authority to pay for the trash for those who get assistance. So all these different entities we're working on, but that actual program where you get an incentive to purchase the home, if you do the maintenance, And I think it's for 2 years is what we've been discussing.
Right.
If you've done the maintenance for 2 years, then you will be eligible for a drastically reduced amount of money to purchase that property. Again, that has to be an ordinance written, because we don't have anything in our ordinances now to do that, but that is one of the programs we want to instantiate and stand up in 2022.
Okay. The other thing is, when they hire these contractors for the, I forget the name of the department in St. Louis County, that actually doles out the contracts for these outside contractors to cut the grass in these different municipalities, like in our neighborhood, and they come every month and a half, cause I cut my grass 3 times before they come again. That's how many times I cut my grass. And so that's why I started paying my yard man to go over there and cut that grass, so it does not affect what my house looks like. But instead of contracting to, say, brickmen or something like that, we got so many yard men that cuts people's yard living in the neighborhood. Contract with the local yard people, somebody you can hold accountable. Cause brickmen is cutting what, 200-300 yards a day? But you got your local guy who lives in the actual neighborhood can come there and cut it. The house next door to me, I gotta cut the bushes down because they're taller than me and my man standing on each other's shoulder. The leaves are gone. I can see they kicked the doors in. So animals and whoever was doing their business in there, I have been trying to get somebody to come and board up the house. Does that mean I gotta board up the house myself? I'm cutting the grass. I'm cutting all the bushes and stuff off the fences, so you, cause you couldn't see around the corner. Only reason property came and cut them down off my 86-year-old neighbor's house, cause you couldn't see the stop sign. I gotta go through that, but you can't see around the corner. And so when people come around, and then on my street, where this school is, Casa, they blocked it off because whoever, I guess Wildcraft, they blocked it off with those barriers. So instead of it being a thoroughfare where it would come straight to the school, now it's turned into a trash dump. Ever since they blocked it off, that's when it started turning into the trash dump. But when I asked, when you got barriers right there, put them on the other part of the street, because it's only about as wide as from this wall to that wall, so can nobody back their truck up and just drop their stuff off. I seen a guy back his truck up down there, cut the rope and speed off. And then he tried to come back with another load, and I had my camera say, do it if you want. My fool self could have got shot, whatever, because people's gun crazy nowadays. But the point being, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to pay a man to go down there and clean the trash up. Right now, I got some neighbors that stay on my street. I know they ain't paid their trash bill, because they had their trash containers stacked up to the ceiling. But yet still now all their containers got empty before trash day, but down there in that gully is full of trash. To say you got camera, you got detection. There's a camera sitting there when they first started that program. That camera has been inoperable ever since. It took me 6 months to get the lighting commission of Castle Point to turn that light on, to figure out who owned that light on the corner, this corner right down here, Castle and I guess it's what, Prince? To get somebody to turn that light on. I offered to pay for it. Finally, somebody came to my house and said, no, you're not supposed to pay for it. We'll pay for it. Like you said, you need to tie these communities together. Guess what? In like communication, I wrote this down. I said communication, putting out flyers and things like that. You got a website I can go to? One central website? Other than the people that help make it, anybody else know that the website address? I don't. Only reason I know about, and guess what? That little book they put out, the North County book, guess what they say the chief of police is? Tim Fitch. Guess who we've had 2 chief of police since Tim Fitch. The information there is wrong. So if you try to go by the book, it's wrong. But that book comes out what, every 6 months? The little book they hand out with St. Louis government, municipality, and everything, look at it, it says Tim Fitch is the chief.
Department of Planning.
Yeah, because I didn't even know you got a book.
You get a book in a minute.
While he's on this area here, with the trash and to the chief and to the lieutenant.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Chief is Ken Gregory, my former high school coach.
Where the burnt out house is, okay, I went down and did a cleanup over there, Ralph set a dumpster over there, and then there was some side streets, and I had hauled a whole lot of stuff away. I called your officers out, I had dug through that trash, had like tons of addresses that was right in the community. Your officers done nothing. The exact words were, did you see them? Did you see this? It's always that when you call out the local street beat, not trying to run them under the bus, but even when you go through those necessary measures and dig through trash or go through raw trash, this household stuff, it's still nothing's done, you know, and it just gets, it really gets frustrating, you know.
Go ahead.
And by the way, I'm Jeff Young with the county, problem properties unit. Been in the problem properties unit for 20 years, all right? And, I agree with a lot of being said, but on the trash thing, if you take it upon yourself to get those, mailings or anything, this is my partner, Officer Bakula. This is what we live over
Yeah,
here.
you drive a pickup truck, right?
Yeah, we're the ones that called her.
Yeah.
Anyway, get that information to us. We'll give you the cards. We do the investigation of that a lot of times. We're also, TJ and I are on the little committee with the dumping. We check the cameras that you guys don't know about, at least a few times a week, to check for the dumping and the legal plates if we can get them. And with our little cameras versus what the county police have, the RIC cameras, we're able to pick those plates up. So we've already issued summons on dumping. So if you've got that, give it to us, call us. We'll come to your house and get it so we can investigate that. We want the dumping to stop here. Nick, I was over at his house yesterday, and I will agree with Nick. I was given his name from Shantae Jameson, that he is kind of like the Castle Point block captain on that half. If I want any information to go to him, that's what I did yesterday. And I already knew about the dumping right there by the house. We've been keeping an eye on that. I would like the barricades.
Well, another area you really need to keep on, we just cleaned it up and it's dirty again. I'm gonna try to get over to get it cleaned up. It's right there at the end of Baroness as you come into off of Hudson. It's a house right there. It's been cleaned up several times, and it steady keeps getting dumped on. Now, I met the gentleman across the street. They're older. He says he has a camera pointing over there, but he's more afraid of what's going on. You know,
So before you leave, let's meet and give us his name, and we've got extra cameras in the police car, so, that we utilize for certain things, that we need to put them up for a couple days, week or whatever, and then we take them back down. But I just wanna say the problem properties unit, cause I've heard a lot of it. I think we got a little bit of a misconception of what the problem properties was initially started. I was there when Buzz Westfall and Councilman Dooley started it. That's how long I've been in the unit. I started in North County. It was a 2-unit system back then, and it's grown pretty big, but not big enough. When you say Ralph and his crew, that's the cleanup guys. That's the guys that cut grass on the ones that need done immediately. And we do have the contractor, and I can, simply just say that we don't get to choose that contractor. That contractor has to go out to bid. Procurement picks that contractor.
And I understand that, but with the, with the contractor, it should be, I can read the paper, I maybe could see your website or something like that that says, we're now taking open bids. There's nothing that gives them a competitive opportunity to being part of that. Because if you keep it, we always talking about the COVID process and this and that. Sooner or later, we gotta stop letting COVID be the excuse.
I agree.
We gotta stop that.
You gotta walk and chew gum at the same time.
That's right. And so with the guy that cuts my grass, that guy cuts my grass and 3 people's grass that live in the neighborhood. The reason he cuts the vacant house next door is because I pay him to cut the grass. And I'm quite sure if he's cutting my grass on the regular, and you could probably contract him better to deal with the neighborhood issues. It's that you don't have to wait a month and a half to get the grass cut. You could contract him rather because his availability would be greater than somebody like Brickman, because Brickman is doing every corporation and everybody within what, 100-mile radius? Come on, we got to diversify, and maybe we talking about, my man talking about downsizing. That may be an area where you need to delegate more, you know, because they keep saying we don't have the manpower. We don't have the manpower. Maybe
No,
you're
what
not
I'm saying,
utilizing
no.
the resources.
No, I'm saying as far as in these offices, they need more people out on the streets, like.
I understand what you're saying
Yeah,
as
that's
far
what
as
I'm getting at.
inspection, because when I first moved out here, and you the same way probably, if your gutter was hanging off or your house, you got written up. They drive by and give you an assessment on your property of its value. The house next door to me, and you saw it, is vacant, is all outdoors, shingles hanging off, raggers all get out. That house next door is worth more than mine. That's what the assessment said. You can look it up on Clayton's website, on the government website, and see the property value assessment. And it will tell you what they say. That house been vacant for 5 years. The doors is kicked in, the windows took, the shutters are gone. Somebody set a car on fire in front of the place. And half the siding is burnt off of it. But that house is worth more than mine. And you saw my house is gutters painted, everything, shutters, the whole, Miss Webb, you've been to my house. It's completely taken care of, but it's worth more than mine. Why? But because they ain't getting out the car to go look. Because the house next door to me, the shed is about falling over. That was years ago, they'd been assessed that. My problem is, like you said, people not getting out and assessing. You got people that's made to assess, and you got people that's to do. It's how they're set up to delegate and get the work done. If you ain't, COVID got to stop being the reason you can't do your job.
And that's exactly where I feel. And I take piggyback on him. That's what I mean by we got enough rules on the books. You know, a few years ago, they did go through and do with some type of windshield inspection, and they issued a lot of tickets, and that's what you heard almost every other Saturday with somebody out with saws. I went and got one of those same inspection report, and I inspected my own house, and I felt certain things. I felt my sidewalks, I felt my driveway, you know, and I spoke about this in other meetings.
Yes, you have.
You know, and I fixed all those things. You know, like I said, I constantly look at my own property with this list and judge myself. And the same thing with these cutting crews. It looks worse than what it did after they cut it.
That's right.
So again, I'm steady spending a lot of money, you know, throughout the neighborhood, you know, taking care of property, picking up trash and everything else. So I'm gonna continue to do it because it's my neighborhood. But it's frustrating when you call people like Jamil Franklin, who's supposed to be the supervisor, and it's like he give you this big old, I mean, I was trying to pull up some of the emails from him, but I can't get a good signal here. He wanna write me this whole dissertation as to why, you know, and that's what I'm tired of. You know, it's like, you just get tired, you know, but when you say, well, she didn't pick up her trash, you know, it's Wednesday. Okay, well, I'll get somebody out there. You coming out on the day of the track. It's like, it's just always some excuse, you know, or we're short-handed. But like I say, when I go back to the Galleria or I go out to lunch, I got 5 or 6 St. Louis County Health Department cards there. I took a picture of that and I sent it to our former council person, because it's like, how can you say you don't have the time, but these people sitting here lollygagging in company vehicles? So it's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry I'm late, you know, got off of work. I live on the corner of Royal and Princess. And I don't know if y'all talked about the car accidents, but right at that corner, you know, there's been so many car accidents, and I've been living there for 11 years. Like I mentioned before, Cadillac drove into a house. My truck got towed last year. You know, guy drunk, doing it at least 80 miles an hour. In order to push that truck at least a nice little minute for a nice little way, he had been driving pretty hard. If I was in that truck, I don't know what type of condition would I've been in, but he not only hit a truck, an old school truck, and then turned around and hit my truck, pushed my truck past the speeding sign, you know, my truck was in front of my house, you know, and he was up in the air and hit the pavement. The insurance did not cover everything. I still had to come out of my own pocket to pay the amount that's owed on the truck, which was a problem, you know. Did he get arrested? You know, I understand he got hurt, but he should not have done that. You know, that's one of the issues. The car accident, the speeding. Another thing, I've called county to come and do a street cleaning. Do you know how many times they came out and did a street cleaning? It was the first time I called them, which was 10 years ago. They have not came out and done a street cleaning. Even after they paved the street, they still haven't came out to do a street cleaning. They always transfer me to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else. And then when I do get to that individual, he said, I put on schedule for it to get done. Guess what? There you go. And that's every year, every month, because I still call every month. Why is that?
I got one quick question, actually, and I won't be quiet. I ain't gonna say no more. I had the same thing happen to me. I was leaving my home, and I got T-boned going through the intersection. And again, one of your officers wrote it, come to find out the person lied about having insurance. I called back up to the precinct, had that officer come back out, and again, this officer was very mean to me. I'm like, he lied to you about having insurance.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to pay for my car out of my pocket to get fixed. And that's another issue. It's like, I'm quite sure there are laws on the books to deal with those kind of things. So then they got to Clayton, and now I'm steadily trying to get hold of the prosecutor out there, which I think she's no longer there anymore because again, everybody's on this COVID stuff. Nobody's in their office, everybody's working from home, and nobody answers their phones. But I'm still dealing with that issue. You know, I can even get her to write him for not even having insurance. I was able to prove to her he didn't have insurance. You know, so that is an issue. People's cars getting towed up, and you know, I thank God I was able to have the funds to fix my car. But that's what if I didn't? There was somebody who couldn't get to work now.
But speeding is an issue around here. You know the schools right here, because they blocked the street off, there's not a straight thoroughfare here. And ladies, I know you're responsible for the school and everything, but it's teachers come flying through here every morning.
Yeah.
I sit on the front with my dog, and those teachers come flying down my street every morning because they may be running late or what have you. The little cats with the racing cars, they come flying around the corner. I think you were sitting right there, and that guy saw his truck sitting there, and it had police marks on. He slowed down because he was getting ready to fly up my street because he had a little racing sound to his car, you know, and he hits it every day. So him slowing down, that was just something. But they come around that curve. I was telling about a little boy that actually got hit and thrown in the yard, coming around that corner. I've seen it where they come down the street, the little pack of Mustang racing cars, and the dude did donuts right in the middle of the intersection, right there. And you can still see the speed marks.
Yeah.
And this is regular. You hear these cars break, whoa, you hear them coming. And so for a minute, they had a policeman that would back down where you throw the trash, where they throw the trash at, and he'd just be sitting down there waiting on them because they sure would catch him soon because they bump and run that. The people living in the cul-de-sac come flying down there, they don't stop that stop sign, they blow through there like it's just nothing there.
So we have put together, and I want to make sure that all people represented here from the community is at the next event that we have for speeding. And so they've got ideas for not the traditional speed bumps, but creating
traffic calming
measures. And so that is creating, some of them is going to be as much as creating roundabouts. So you break that speed that they can hit going down those long streets. There are also opportunities where they create, I forgot, shakers or something, where they kind of bulge out from the side of the street, where you can't just roll over them and keep them. So we have these traffic calming measures that we presented in December. It wasn't a large attendance of the meeting, and we advertised with everybody that was on our distribution list. We sent it to the neighborhood.
Cause I never got one.
And so, one second, sir, and so we wanna make sure all those who are here, that I get your address, your phone number, your email address, because when we have these meetings, we want you there. And I also send them to your neighborhood association leadership, because I don't wanna do nothing that's out of disrespect. So Ms. Jackson and Mr. Darryl Smith, and then there's also a lady by the name of, God, I can't think of the third lady.
Sharon Jackson.
I said Ms. Jackson, Darryl Smith, Michelle Spraggins is another community leader that I reach out to. I'm sorry, I see the doctor holding her hand up. Go ahead,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we have to leave to go to,
Yeah.
another meeting.
Yeah.
And, we just wanted to, first of all, take a moment and thank you, Councilwoman Webb. Thank you, St. Louis County Police Officers, community support, and thank you to the people who live in this community, for wanting to, for one, help to keep our scholars safe. Well, and the only way we can do that is if the community is safe. And so I just wanna thank everyone for the, endearing, passionate conversations today, and whatever we as a school district can do to help support that, do not hesitate to let us know. And we just didn't wanna get up and walk out, but thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yes, sir, you were speaking, I apologize.
It's okay. Another issue, I don't know if y'all talked about the stop signs. Why is there not a stop sign where the kids comes at? I'm right there at the corner of William for Princess again. There's only one set of stop signs. And that's a way of going to the school here, and then right over at this corner, that's only one set of stop sign, if I'm not mistaken. Why is that, it should be a stop sign in every corner, if you ask me. Why isn't that?
And I called the person who, I guess, make those decisions, and this was a few years ago, and they said, it's gonna be they have to do an assessment.
Study,
but
yeah.
The ambulance and the fire departments are gonna be held up, and it's gonna cause a problem, and every intersection doesn't require a stop sign. If you could see so far, it was just a whole lot of, again.
And if it's a one-way street.
Jumble,
maybe that-
just a whole lot of jumble, and that's what I mean by, we're too top heavy, and a lot of these people who are making these decisions can't even tell you where Lord is, can't even tell you where Princess is, can't even tell you, and it's like they're making decisions for us. And it's like, I'm trying to get these people to come out here, walk my street, see my community, but it doesn't happen. And that's all I've ever asked. I've asked for, our top dog just to come take a walk through my neighborhood, and cannot get it to happen. It always goes back, well, who's your council person? At the time, it was, Councilwoman Gray. Like I say, Councilperson Webb, I'm looking forward to working with you. I apologize, I shouldn't have let it off like that, I should have just held my peace, but this is just,
I just wanna let you know, I know what Lloyd is, I walk down Lloyd, I'm a Royal, I've been on Baroness at nighttime, and my husband is kinda like, you better get home. So I am in your community, whether it's ring doorbells, if I'm giving out food, or if I'm hosting. Now, next time I have an event and I don't see you, Mr. Williams, and I don't see you,
again,
sir.
I'm gonna try to be anything I can be
Okay,
at,
because
but,
of the
I'm in
community
funeral
outreach.
service, so,
But I
I've been
understand, we all can
extremely
do what we
busy,
can do,
but I
so we
wanted to
accept that.
purposely be here today,
I
cause I had to
appreciate
make
you, sir.
sure of this, but, again,
So we wanna
if I
meet
knew
each
about
other
it in
where we are.
advance,
We
I
don't
would be there.
criticize for what we can do, we accept what we can do, and we meet each other where we are. And that's how we're gonna go stronger. Everybody can't make a 9 o'clock in the morning meeting. Everybody can't, people got jobs, I understand that, but even when I was a PTO, president for my kids' school, I would say, I understand your tradition is to meet at 9:30 in the morning. But because a mother or parent can't be here at 9:30 in the morning, that doesn't mean she doesn't care. That just means she has different situations, different things to take into consideration. So meet her where she is. And so what I did was that every quarter, every 4 months, we had an evening meeting. So all I'm saying is that we gotta be flexible and work with each other and accept us of where we are, who we are, and expect nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
But if I know you, Mr. Williams, and you say you're gonna get engaged at this level, that's all I'm gonna expect of you.
Well, I've
And
been
if you
engaged.
stretch sometime, you stretch. If you don't, I'm good
I've
with
been
it.
engaged, trust me.
All right, well, I'm
I
here
got
with you now.
1,001 cameras that I try to help the police out.
I'm here
I
with you
mean-
now.
One of the issue I believe is the, people, the neighborhood, they're tired of a lot of the excuses, they're tired of the issue, that's why, and I've spoken to a number of neighbors, and they said a lot of times they don't wanna go because they're gonna get the same response and the same action, and that's where the number is slow here, you know, because they tired of it, and when I say tired of, they tired of because they've gone to all of the meetings over the years, and in their mind is, by me coming, it's just wasting up my time and my space.
I agree with you, sir. I just said it's about trust,
Well, I'm
right?
gonna ask for one favor.
That trust is, we gotta show you evidence of what we're gonna do,
I
and not
wanna
just talk
walk
about it.
through with Mr. Sam Page. I
If-
want him to walk this whole entire neighborhood with me.
I
And
can
want
guarantee
him-
Shalonda.
And Shantae.
And
Shantae.
Chantel,
For sure.
I will try to arrange something in the spring.
Yeah, no, he should be able to be reachable.
But he should be reachable, but I can only be accountable for Shalonda. You gonna accept that?
But I'm asking you to try to get that.
I'll try that one too, but I can guarantee you
All the
this.
police officers, please come and protect me, that's what he gonna want. But let's make him walk through, let him actually see and hear and just see all these derelict houses and all these possums laying in the road and the grass as tall as our heads. I mean, he needs to see this.
And that's why when I came through with the people that's doing the ARPA funding and appropriating those funds, they wanna put a plan together. I said, no, you have to come and see this community. And that's why we put that, Shantae drove the van so we can ride through here, cause I need people to be invested. And in order to be invested, you gotta have some connection to it. And so to me, that's first seeing. The eyes are the windows to the soul, right? So if I can get you to come here and see what my community is going through, you're not gonna walk through us just like another number. You're gonna say, oh, that's Council Point. And it worked. Because now when I called the Lord and I say, Amy, I need such and such and such and such. She said, oh, that's right, Miss Webb, you want it? And she said, I'm gonna get you a plan together for that. So I'm willing to do the extra mile to make people get invested and be passionate about our communities. But I need, like you're here today, I'm gonna need y'all to show up too. I said it before, we all got some responsibility in this, right? Thank you, Council Callahan, I'm gonna sit down.
And I gotta get rolling too, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
you
gotta
guys
go.
does too, so.
Yeah.
Again, I apologize, it was not my time of day. Shantae let me know about that a lot leading up to today. We'll start having some evening meetings, get more of the neighborhood involved, and
We're partnering together to do
yeah,
that.
and get to that point where it's not, we keep hearing the same thing and nothing's done.
Yeah.
That's what, like I said, I've only been here for 2
But
years.
also, one of the things, I'm gonna say this too, and I'm gonna be quiet for it.
Which-
I don't think, it's kinda like church.
Uh-huh.
You know, we need to come out of these four walls. I think we need to pick a street that's definitely heavily infested, block it off with the police cars, set some chairs out there with the bullhorn, and better start drawing attention, take it street by street. If we do council this month, the next time we have a meet, you know, when it's nice out there, have it to the street. That way we can actually get those people to see these faces and get engaged. Bring a few potato chips and hot dogs. Who draw people now?
We can do that.
You
We've
know.
done that.
We've done it.
We've done it a couple
And then,
times.
you know, another thing that I've heard over the years, like I said, I've
We
only been here for 2
continue to
years,
do
but
it.
that there's, not a connection to some of the residents. You know, you could be in a 10,000 block on, you know, Lord, but, you know, they don't know anybody that's up off of Baroness, you know, and that there's not any,
Neighborhood.
yeah, so it's like, that's your problem, that's not my problem. Right, on my street, I have only got 3 abandoned houses that are vacant. You've got 9, so I'm gonna deal with mine and not worry about yours. And we gotta get away from that. So whether it's every block has a block captain that, you know, we can communicate with, maybe that's a start, I don't know.
Well, I think that will be a start, like I say, come out of the four walls, go to the street, that way now people can actually physically hear and see. Cause when they start seeing people set up, they're gonna be wondering what's going on,
Yep.
and they're gonna migrate to see what's going on.
Yep.
And I think that'll really be somewhat to get more of the community engaged, because actually I'm kind of disappointed there are not as many people in the community here, but again, people do work.
Yep.
And they are at work, but, you know, I would like to say that there are more people out here who do care, and not just,
There's great people
you
in this
know,
neighborhood.
so
Yeah, it is.
I
There
think
is.
that's what we need to start at least get it out of these four walls, take it to the streets, and then just start there, see how that goes, and
Take it
then,
to the streets.
you know, I know
I
we
like it.
can't do it during these colder months, but when it start getting hot, you know.
We can start planning for it now.
Castle Point covered. We got the east side over here, we got you over on the north end, and you in the middle. So, now we need you guys.
Yeah.
That's what I'm recording.
Like I say, I'm
It'd be
trying to do
nice
as much
to
as I
see
can.
action. It'd
I'm
be
trying to do as
nice.
much as I can.
I think it's
It'd be-
the issue, more so, we just need, a more of a collaborative effort. I think if we keep working things individually, you're only gonna cover so much.
That's
But it has to be more of a collective, effort.
Some type of action.
Yes.
I think if the people see action, you know, they'll see that something's being done, then there will be a return. But they have to see some type of action.
I can't do that the same word. I said action all day, there's no more lip service. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.